After Uncensored, it's the wave of the future, 5G. Now, Houston is now the third city in the United States picked to receive 5G internet from Verizon. 5G is short for fifth generation wireless. And Mayor Sylvester Turner says this will help catapult Houston into the forefront of data communications, attracting jobs and companies to the Bayou City. But there are some health concerns by some linked to 5G. Dozens of wireless antennas, some slated to be as close as 20 feet to homes and schools, could pose, as some say, a radiation threat. Also, there are concerns there will be a major invasion of privacy with 5G. Joining me to discuss this is Derrick Broze, freelance investigative journalist and radio talk show host on 90.1 KPFT. Now, you went before the Houston City Council, and you also confronted the mayor and one of the executives from Verizon about this issue. How aware were members of City Council about 5G and what people say could be a health risk?
So I've made 2 visits on 5G now in the last 3 weeks. Yesterday, the most recent, and we had 2 questions, one from Councilmember Brenda Stardig and Councilmember Jack Christie, but most of them seemed highly unaware of this, which I think is...
Did they seem concerned, though, and did the questions that you received from council members show concern, or were they just humoring you?
Jack Christie, he always tends to, worry about health concerns, so he, told the other council members, hey, there's something here, we should listen to what he's saying. Brenda Stardig seemed to express that, but yesterday when I went back, I was met with silence. So upon the second visit, and I've emailed them several times all the information that we're talking about today, all the studies I've found, both health and privacy concerns. So far, I've not heard any response. I've invited them to come on to my radio program, and so far they're not really responding.
Now, there have been reports that have done by national news outlets like CBS News and many others out there expressing concerns by those who say this could eventually cause cancer. They have to improve the infrastructure around the country in order to do this 5G. And we're looking at more than 300,000 new small antennas. And that's the amount of antennas that we put down over a 3-decade period, all at once now. And they could be close to homes and schools.
Absolutely.
What kind of health risk could that pose to people in the community?
So these specific small cells, as they're called, the frequencies only travel about 500 feet, and because of that, as you said, there's going to be a lot more installed infrastructure all around the city, all around the country eventually. And we have a Kaiser Permanente study that looked at women in San Francisco living near cell towers, this sort of infrastructure, and showed an increase in miscarriages. There's National Toxicology Program data from May 2016 showing increase in tumors in rats, very close, connected to cell phones. And it's not just the one cell phone you carry on you all day. We have to think of, as one doctor,
waves hitting us,
a sandwich of radiation. You've got all the different smart devices, and that's what 5G, as the mayor talks about. We're going to have driverless cars, we're going to have robots, we're going to have all these conveniences and things, but along with that, there will be just what some people are calling a digital soup or a digital smog that we're going to be living in. And it's mainly untested up to this point. Instead, the mayor is saying, we're number one. We did this for Houston, Austin, New York, and they're just racing forward without any sort of public comment period, a health assessment as far as we know, anything that the public could come forward and voice their concerns.
Why aren't more people active from the public health sector, more active like you, saying this could be a potential issue?
So one of the reasons I think that we're not seeing as much pushback against this is because of, censorship in one hand. There's this organization called Project Censored, and for the last 25, 30 years, they've covered the top 25 censored stories of the year. This year, they named number 4 of 2018 an article by The Nation titled "How Big Wireless Convinced the U.S. That Wi-Fi and Cell Phones Are Safe," and it talks about 5G, and they said it's very similar to big tobacco propaganda from the past, that they're using a lot of their influence to get people to not question these things. But up in Michigan, we did see some pushback from a state senator up there. There was Dr. Sharon Goldberg. She testified to the Michigan State Senate about these problems. We're just not seeing it locally, which is unfortunate in a city this big and, that's pushing to be the first one to implement this.
And unfortunately, we have about 30 seconds left. Tell us about the aspect of privacy.
Sure.
How could we see an invasion of privacy?
So the smart cities that we're pushing towards, which is what 5G is going to allow, when you have this, they're calling it the Internet of Things, which is thousands of interconnected devices, not just cell phones, not just laptops, but it's going to be smart meters, it's going to be smart devices in stores that when you walk in will tailor advertising specifically to you. This futuristic world that people are waiting for is going to come with a lot of devices that can be hacked. Most of them have microphones on them. So essentially it's setting up what could be turned on to be a surveillance grid. So the American Civil Liberties Union and other organizations are warning cities to make sure their smart cities don't turn into surveillance cities.
All right, Derrick Broze from KPFT 90.1 investigative reporter there. We thank you for coming on The Factor Uncensored and sharing this information with our viewers. Still to come on The Factor Uncensored.